From high atop Mount Manitoba, it's another episode of Vinny Makes the Hall of Fame Case for ... Vinny, I don't have to guess who you have because you've got two worthy potential Hall of Famers right behind you, but it's not the one in the uniform that we're looking at. We're looking at who we're looking to possibly induct into the Baseball Hall of Fame.
The person that I'm interested in inducting into the Hall of Fame is this guy right here. Not this guy. This guy. This is Tommy John, but the one I'm looking at is the doctor, Frank Jobe.
Mm-hmm.
Now, why am I mentioning Frank Jobe?
But before we do that, Vin, before we talk about Frank Jobe, we've got to tell everyone you got a sponsor for the show.
I do.
Yes.
Wow.
So let's tell everyone about the sponsor for Vinny Makes the Hall of Fame Case for. It's our good friends at BetStamp. Now, Vin, you and I are both big Super Bowl fans. Now, maybe we might place a wager. Now, personally, I think the Eagles are going to run away with it. But that means if I think so, usually I'm way wrong. But here's what BetStamp is going to help me do. If I think that, because I have a few different sports books that I'll play off. So the Eagles, if I think that they're going to win the Super Bowl, I want to get the best odds possible, right?
Mm-hmm.
So BetStamp is your one-stop shop. You download the BetStamp app, and then you can just see with all the ones that you use, because one of them might have a different line. One of them might have it by 8.5, and the other might have by 7.5. Well, you want to take the 8.5, right?
Of course, you definitely take the 8.5.
Right. Well, no, it was 7.5 actually for betting for Philly.
Yeah, it would be the half. It would be one or the other. You can't have this.
Right. But you want to get your best off because it's think about this with everything else that you do in life. Whenever you want to buy a house, you're not just going to one place. Whenever you want to go on a vacation, you're not looking at one place. This is Trivago for bettors. Hey, maybe you want to see what's the best line for like blue Gatorade. That could be. Maybe you know something that we don't know. Maybe you know the equipment trainer. That'd be actually a good side hustle, wouldn't it?
Ooh, that'd be interesting.
Yeah.
If I'm an equipment manager, or one, I could potentially, if that happens, you would definitely probably see more cases on here for equipment managers.
Well, we're not doing that. We're
not going to do that, guys. Don't worry. I may like a lot of contributors, but I don't want to get too ahead of myself.
Or maybe you can try to see if one of them's got a line for if Rihanna's nipple might slip out.
Who? Justin Timberlake, where are you?
Justin. Yeah, if anyone can sort of pull that off, it'd be Justin, and then just apologize for it after, not get anything on him. You gotta admire that. But this is the best way to do it. Now, if you're a lousy bettor like me, here's what else BetStamp does. BetStamp's you can follow along with some of their top pros, and you can get advice from them. That's what I've been doing. Also, too, let's say if we want to look way deep in the future. Now, a certain quarterback retired. So today, as we're recording this, you may have heard of him, Tom Brady. Now, with him retiring, you might think, okay, well, this is going to go well for, I don't know, let's say my Carolina Panthers, and you want to bet on them to sort of like win the division. And then you can just do a future bet. But Tom Brady decides to come back. You can actually still sell that bet, or sort of like give that bet away. BetStamp lets you do everything. If you are a sports gambler, you need this app. And can I give you all the promo code?
Yeah, tell us.
Okay, it's $25. Buck, you can remember that because, hey, maybe you want a buck. Or it'd be like, my name, Buckner. Although it's spelled differently, but whatever. BUCK 25. So $25, but you don't have to pay for this app. $25, just $25. Download that right now. Do it. Please help us out.
And I have.
Yes, with $25.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Also, so Winnie's going to do it too. And for those just listening, Winnie's the mini Dachshund, who's right here. Winnie says to do that, help her out. You want to help out Winnie? Look at this face. Huh? But
When you
Winnie's
look at the camera next time.
well, that's not her strength. But Winnie's going undergoing surgery tomorrow. See what I'm doing here? See my segue? Winnie's going undergoing surgery to get spaded. But I don't think Frank Jobe does that type of surgery.
Uh,
Sorry.
No, in a different universe he might have been, but
Well, he might. But I would trust him.
Oh, I would definitely trust him because this guy is the doctor that those inspire to be. Why, you may say, like, why? Why a normal doctor? Well, this is not just any doctor. It is the doctor who is best known for inventing ulnar collateral ligament reconstruction, also known as Tommy John surgery. Now, what is that? You might be saying. I've heard that before. What is Tommy John surgery? That's what happens when, what happens is that your UCL, your ulnar collateral ligament, it's right here, it's right your elbow. It's mostly known as the tendon where, pitchers use to throw the ball. And so what happens is when that's severed, either partially or completely, what they do is they take a tendon somewhere else in the body, and they place it right here where the UCL used to be, stitch it back up, and boom, your UCL is fixed. Your elbow can throw. You could throw again. That's what it means.
Do we know where he came up with that idea? Because you and I, we both sort of like go through our baseball history quite a lot. And prior to this, and still to this day, really, you'll see pitchers just fall apart completely. And the human body, the human arm is not meant to throw a 100-mile-an-hour ball. We're not meant to do that. Do we know where he got that idea?
From my understanding, I can't really find as much of how he came up with the idea, but I know how he ended up in that particular situation where he was able to do it.
All right, let's talk about that.
Okay, so Frank Jobe, he's from Greensboro, North Carolina, and after graduating from Collegiale Academy, he was enlisted in the U.S. Army, and he served in World War II as a medical staff sergeant in the Airborne Division, which is great. And he was able to escape Normandy and was awarded the Bronze Star Medal. Really cool so far. So you have the military history on his legacy. And so afterwards, he enrolled at Southern Missionary College and got out from the GI Bill and would go to California, work as a general practitioner, became an orthopedic surgeon at the Los Angeles County Hospital. But then his foray into sports would begin in 1964 when he consulted with the Los Angeles Dodgers. And he would team up with Dr. Robert Kurlan to specialize the field of sports medicine. So they focus, okay, I'm going to put all my eggs in this basket of sports medicine. And with them, they founded the Southwestern Orthopedic Medical Group, which is now the Kurlan Jobe Orthopedic Clinic, named after them. And then a few years later, he would join the Dodgers medical staff in 1968. But he didn't just do work with the Dodgers. He also helped and supervised for the California Angels, as they were known at the time, as well as the LA Lakers, the LA Rams, and then also the Los Angeles Kings and the Anaheim Ducks. So all around that LA region, he would help the teams in that area. Doesn't matter what it was, he would always do whatever he can to help.
Now, so Tommy John surgery happens in 1974. And I think it amazes me that there's going to be a generation coming up long after Tommy John passes that will have no clue who this is. Just like I think in 2040, there's going to be a bunch of people reading sports like, pitcher X is going through Tommy John surgery while they're frying up something on a George Foreman grill playing Madden, not realizing that all three of those people actually existed.
Yeah.
So in 74, this happens. Tommy John, just blows out his elbow and goes under the knife through Jobe. I can't even imagine the fear in both of them. at this point.
Oh, it was with John. He played for 12 years.
At that
Really good
point.
career. Really
Yeah.
good career. And so he goes to Job and said, "Hey, Doc, my elbow, it's gone out." And Job says, "Oh my God, your UCL is gone." So he said, "You know what? I'm going to think of an idea here." And so he said, "Okay, Tom, I'm going to bring a brand new procedure. And I want to know if you're okay with this. I'm going to reconstruct your UCL." And he said, "You know what? Okay, I'll do it." So that's what he did. And as for how Tommy John was afterwards, he still performed exceptional. In fact, you could make an argument. You can make an argument that he actually got better because he went on to have 3 more All-Star seasons and would play an additional 14 years before retiring in 1989. Because of that alone, the Bionic Man, I believe, should be in a Hall of Fame. But that's a different conversation. I do think Tommy John does deserve to be in the Hall of Fame.
Which is a good point, because there's a lot of people, myself included, that would put Tommy John, with the exception of Clemens, of course, who's out for a different reason, as we know, but as one of the biggest pitching snubs in baseball Hall of Fame history. Now,
Mhm.
So going on to what this did. So we hear Tommy John surgery all the time. So just some of the people who've gone through that and then went on to continue. This includes John Smoltz, who is, as we know, is in the Baseball Hall of Fame. Billy Wagner, who might be. David
Vinny,
Wells,
yeah.
another great pitcher. Tim Hudson, another very, very good one. There's a lot. There's piles upon piles, but I just wanted to point out.
Hudson deserved more time on the ballot.
Well,
Joe Nathan as well.
yeah, but those are the biggest names that when we're looking at people whose career he extended. Steven Strasburg, who could, I don't know that he's ever going to be in the Hall of Fame, but this has been something that has prolonged the life of the pitcher. We're probably going to see Brock Purdy possibly undergo this.
Yeah, like here's a fun fact for you. Around 1/3 of every single pitchers in 2014 alone underwent it. And before all this happened, let's see if you know this.
Sure. I won't, but go ahead.
Okay, let's see if you know this.
Yeah, sure.
Let's say before the surgery, what was the percentage of your career continuing after you tear your UCL?
Well, I'm sure some did.
1 in 100.
1 in 100? Okay.
Well,
it was correct. Some.
Yes, some, emphasis on some. But now it's up to 92% out of 100.
Right. And imagine some of the people who don't come back. It's just due to age and just being phased out to younger, better competition for those spots. Now, someone might be asking this question. I did before you picked it. Technically, this is already in the Hall of Fame because there is a display in Cooperstown. I think they did this a few years ago where they've got Tommy John surgery. It is part of that. But but your definition is you want the full plaque.
Full plaque. Bust or bust, plaque or
okay.
Bust or bust. That's my
no, that's fair. So for you, like that's not enough. But are you happy that they at least acknowledge that in the Baseball Hall of Fame, which I think is a pretty cool display?
Yeah, but no, I'm not satisfied.
Fair enough. No, I just gotta sometimes play contrarian.
It's a fair point. Like, but I would argue, Frank Jobe, what he did for the game of baseball was way more significant than a display. There has been consideration, but of course, still nothing has happened. I mean, Bud Selig said of how much he revolutionized the entire sports medicine field. James Andrews, who is known for fixing ACL tears, who I think should also be a Hall of Famer one day. He literally called him the premier forefathers of sports medicine, and he said, and I quote, "Without his influence, baseball players' sports medicine care would probably still be in the dark ages." Like, you're looking at a man that changed the game. He truly changed the game. And people think about him just for Tommy John surgery. He didn't just do that. Back in 1990, Orel Hershiser, who, the pitcher for the Dodgers, his entire shoulder was all messed up. And this shoulder reconstruction surgery was game changing. This was never done before. So just like Tommy John surgery, he did what I like to call the oral Hershiser surgery, which is fixing the shoulders of players. And because of that, he reduced the amount of trauma suffered by tissue in your shoulder. And to this day, those surgeries, and because of that, Hershiser went on to play another 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was able to save not one, but two careers of people that have a legitimate case to be in the Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
And his work and his pioneering efforts have prolonged the careers of hundreds of other players, thousands, you could argue.
And will continue to do so.
Yeah, all because of what he did, because he had the foresight and the insight and the mind to want to change the world for the better.
And the skills and the balls to do it.
There might have been pushback for it. I mean, Sandy Koufax was a little bit annoyed. Hey, listen, why did you do that on me? The reason why was because he wasn't sure about it at the time. But if it was done back then, it probably would have been called Sandy Koufax surgery. But Tommy John's the one that has it, and is there to this day.
Okay, so that's a pretty good case. I'm going to ask you this here. This is kind of off topic, or it's still topic, but who to you out of the sports doctors is a bigger name or more deserving of full recognition, Jobe or Andrews?
I'd say
gotta pick one.
Jobe, because Jobe pioneered it. Not saying that James Andrews doesn't deserve it, but he's the forefront huge medical doctor, whereas Frank Jobe came a bit before him, and he invented things.
Okay. Fair enough. All right. So I really enjoyed that. No, it's okay. All good. Do you know who you're thinking of next time?
I'm going to go with basketball here, and I'm going to go a bit of a different turn.
Okay.
I'm not going to do a contributor this time. I want to do a very, very old player.
Okay.
I want to do Max Avzlovsky.
Love it. Love it. Okay.
Max Avzlovsky. That's what I'm doing next.
I don't know if you know that. You probably don't. Because on the site that of course I have to promote, notinhallofame.com, he's like one of the most popular players in terms of votes that come up. And when we revise the list, one of the things we look at is what people voted on. So Zaslavsky was originally, when I set this up, it was in the low 20s. He's now up to the top. He's been at the top 5 at some point. He was actually at number 1 briefly when there wasn't any massive stars.
Tells you something.
It tells you a lot. So I think that one's going to do very, very well for you. I really enjoyed that. So other things that are on the Bucknerverse. Hold on, let me do this here. The Bucknerverse.
Still more stable than DC's.
You know what? I didn't even know who. I was learning all about who Ezra Miller was and what he really did.
Oh my god. Oh, listen, that I can't believe they still have that guy on, but they got rid of Henry Cavill and whatnot. Yeah, but Warner Brothers is a dumb company.
Not for me to worry about. But in the Bucknerverse, here's what else we got going on. Every week, it's the weekly Hall of Fame show with Evan Nolan and I. We're going to have a massive one tomorrow because we record on Thursday nights, where because the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame has just announced the finalists. So Evan and I will have a hell of a lot to say on that. But if you're into Halls of Fame, that's the show for you. And we record that every week, and it usually goes up on the weekend. Some of the sister shows, I'm recording another one tonight, which is How the Hell Did This Go #1? We got a really good song, actually.
Ooh, which one?
Well, it's a really good one. Sound of Silence by Simon and Garfunkel. That was picked by Brad Nelson, one of the co-hosts of that show, where Brad and Andrea Tessman and I, we sort of examined that. Brad sort of wants to look at why this is their signature song, so as opposed to some of the others. So I think it'll be sort of a fun deep dive. And they don't know this yet, but I'm going to grill them on the Hall of Fame finalists because they don't follow the Hall of Fame. But I think their perspective on that will be really, really interesting. Chris Bournet and I do a show that's going to be wrapping up soon. Unfortunately, Chris is going to have to attend to other matters as his career is taken off and he can't do this with me anymore. But yeah, it's too bad. So I gotta find someone to replace him. That'll be damn hard. which is this crap was on national television. It's not up yet, but we've recorded our look at Small Wonder, the pilot.
Oh, interesting.
No, what an awful show that was. Creepy,
Oh,
creepy.
That doesn't mean it's not interesting.
Yeah, well, it is interesting. Yes, it was interesting, but it was my God, it was the creepiest thing I've seen on television in a long, long time. There's also what else do I do? I do so much that I can't remember. Oh, we've started a new show with Paul Lawrence where it's a classic, or just the retro football show, and we did a deep dive into the Ice Bowl. We're going to be looking at Super Bowl III next, so look for that in the upcoming weeks. And with that, wherever you are, wherever you may be, stay safe, everybody.
Uses.